What's happening, FlowChat connector? Sean here, back at you with another high-ticket tune-up. In this video, I'm going to teach you exactly what to do when you keep getting no's during your selling calls. What's happening, FlowChat connector? Sean back at you with another high-ticket tune-up. Hope you're ready today, because I'm ready too. I'm excited. We got a great one coming at you. Okay, so check this out. We're going to talk about what to do when you keep getting no's during sales calls. This is a huge thing. Like when I first started my selling career, if you've ever heard my story, I took 2,400 prospecting cold call attempts, meaning I opened a book and I'd go through a bunch of the pages and I would make these calls and I would get to this place where I was like, can we do an appointment? And they would say no, or they would just ignore me, or they'd hang up on me, or it was rough. Like I got my ass kicked over and over and over and over again. And I really disliked that, right? And I almost threw in the white the flag, the white flag, to say I was done with it. At about 6 weeks long, what happened was I called my dad. I was randomly having a conversation with my dad, and he's like, well, don't quit. Go to the library and read a book. And that started me on this big journey of where I started to grow personally as a sales professional. And I got to a place where I was like, oh, like you can't just quit when you get no. No actually means yes. And so I was like, wait a minute. If no means yes, how does that even work? What I realized very quickly was that in order to get yeses, I had to understand what was going wrong with my no's. And so the question that came in today actually came in from Angie, and she asked this. She says, Sean, I keep getting no's during my high-ticket sales calls. I'm ready to quit sales. What should I do? First of all, Angie, please do not quit the sales profession. The sales profession is the oldest profession on earth, even older than what they call prostitution, right? Like statistically proven, back in the old days, somebody was always selling something to somebody, right? So if you quit sales, you're going to be in a poor spot. So don't quit, right? That's the first thing. Secondly, we need to have some sort of a cadence or something that we can use in order to get better at selling. Yes, you're going to get no's. Everybody gets no's all the time. And in fact, no's, a lot of people say, oh, you're one no closer to a yes. That may be true, but I think the diagnosis process is where a lot of sales like if you move from traditional salesperson, right? So you start and you're like, I know nothing about sales, and you get started and you're kind of like amateur sales. Then you become a traditional selling person where you kind of follow the prospect system. And then you switch over this hump into what we call professional sales, and you become a sales professional where you actually have a selling system that you use. And eventually you become a sales ascender, in which then you can, like that's where we get to after you have years and years and 10,000 plus selling calls and all this other stuff, right? So training hundreds of people. And so during that process, right, I got a lot of no's. Like I got more no's than you. I promise, Angie. I promise you I did, right? And during that stage, I ended up reading this book by, it was called The Billionaire Coach, and really interesting book. It talked about how to manage high-level teams. And at the time, I didn't have anyone to manage, but what I did know is like maybe I could manage myself. And so what I did is I actually dove into these questions, and they're called the right questions. There's 4 questions to ask. So I want to tee this up. So like when I started using this, it changed everything for me, right? I would get this no, and I used to feel like shit. I used to feel awful. I used to feel so bad because people are I felt I was taking a personal rejection, and everybody feels that. And it's like really bad to feel personally rejected. And so I started reading this book, The Billionaire Coach, and I got to these questions in this book where I was like, oh, these are the questions you need to ask yourself, Sean, like light bulb moment. So what are the questions, right? So when you get the next no in your sales career and you're like, I'm just all the wind's knocked out of my sales, I don't know what to do. Here are the 4 questions that I beg that you ask yourself, and seriously give this some thought, because when you go through these questions, you're gonna be like, oh my God, this totally changed everything. So the first thing is we always start with what went right. Here's the 4 questions. I'll just share them with you right here on the screen. First one is what went right. So during this selling conversation, you get a no. And after you've given yourself 5 minutes, I think, there's a Renee Brown. I think she said, give yourself the 5-second rule. So you can be as pissed off as you want for 5 seconds or 5 minutes, but then you have a cutoff time, right? So after you have a bad sales call, give yourself that 5 minutes to go vent and do something aggressive, and then come back and then like focus, debrief, move to the next one. That's the procedure. These are the questions to ask during that debriefing process, right? So if we go back and I pop the actual question on here again, what Angie asked, I keep getting no's during my high-ticket sales calls. So you get a no, you debrief for 5 minutes, you go punch a punching bag, do whatever you got to do to get the stress out, come back, sit down at your office, take out a piece of paper, and then look at these 4 questions. Number 1, what went right? What went right during that sales call? What are the things that you can reinforce and do better next time? Okay, that's the first thing. Write down at least one thing from that no that you just got. Number two, why did it go right? Why in your mind do you believe what you just wrote down actually went right? Write down an answer to that. Next question, what's missing from making it right? If the right thing to do is to close the deal, what's missing from making it right? Write down one or two or three or four or five or however many things you think necessary to get there. And then lastly, most importantly, what resources are needed to make it right? What resources do you personally need to start growing? Like in my example, right? I was really, really bad when I first started at setting appointments, and I'd get on the phone and I would just fail, right? And then I was like, dang. And then I would pull out these questions like, what went right? Well, I got him to talk. That went right. He shared at least one thing in his world that was going on. Okay, that was cool. And then from there, I kind of messed up. So those two things went right. Why did those things go right? Maybe I'm asking the right type of questions. And now I know, like, okay, I'm going to keep those questions in my deck as a sales professional. I'm going to keep asking those questions. What's missing for making it right? Well, we didn't get to what I call emotional impact in the call. That's one thing that's missing for making it right. He didn't say yes. That's another thing. Yeah, maybe just those two things. And then we go to the last question. What resources are needed to make it right? Well, first of all, I need to get better at my questioning. So what does that tell me? I need to probably go learn what other sales pros to ask to get to emotional impact. And when I get to emotional impact, I'm there. I'm great. It's like, it's perfect, right? So that would answer that one. And then what resources are needed to get him to say yes? Well, there's really three. Okay, so the first one is I have to understand truly that I can solve his problem. So if I haven't done that exploratory part during my sales conversation, then look, like I got to go back and do that. Secondly, I need to understand so I can solve his problem. Secondly, I understand that he's going to have some sort of a budget, whether it's time, money, energy, blood, sweat, tears, whatever, to invest with me to get the result that he's looking for or she's looking for. And then lastly, what's their buying process? How do they actually make decisions when it comes to a product or service like I sell? Those are the resources or the things that I need to put into that conversation in order to make it right. And when I know this, guess what? Now I have a roadmap because I just debriefed from that no answer that I just got. I'm not upset at myself. I took the first 5 minutes to get all my emotions out because that's the rule. Give yourself 5 minutes when you get a no and it pisses you off and you take it personally. That's fine. Do it, but give yourself about 5 minutes and then cut it off. Come back and do this debriefing exercise with every single sales call. And I can assure you, it won't take very long for you to be like, oh, that was missing. Oh, that was missing. Oh, that was missing. Oh, I need this resource. I need that. I need to ask this question. And soon you're going to have a list of exactly what you need to do in order to convert those people every single time. And you get to a place where you can crush it all the time simply by using just these questions. If you're getting a lot of no's, deploy this. Watch what happens. Come back and drop a comment below. And with that said, you've just been tuned up. This is always a conversation, and I want to make sure for conversational purposes that if you have any questions, please drop them below in the comments. I want to know what you're thinking. Maybe you disagree with this. I'd love to know that too. But if you felt this was valuable, smash that like button, feed this out. You got to feed the algorithm gods so we can push the message out to more people. And of course, subscribe to the channel. With that said, I can't wait to see you next time. With that said, you've just been tuned up. We'll talk to you next time.